Good evening, Vault Dwellers. Dan here. Guess what? My favorite time of the year has finally sunk its teeth into us. That's right, it's spooky season. It's the one month where nobody questions why I've got a fog machine blasting in my living room, or why my neighbors keep spotting me carrying VHS tapes like holy relics. And all through October, we're gonna dive fang first into the graveyard. We're talking vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein monsters, mummies, and just about every dusty monster Universal or Hammer ever coughed up. It's 31 days of midnight movie mayhem, and tonight, we're gonna kick it off with the Bloodsuckers. From Gothic castles to grindhouse drive-ins, these are the 13 vampire movies that are gonna keep you awake till sunrise, or at least until your candy corn sugar crash hits. Let's open the coffin and start the countdown. If you want just pure Gothic vibes with just the right amount of Euro trash charm, Crypt of the Vampire, that's your ticket to the underworld. Starring Barbara Steele, you know horror's undisputed queen of spooky stares, she plays a nobleman's daughter who's tormented by a family curse. So vampires may or may not be haunting her, but honestly, when you've got Steele just glaring daggers through candle smoke, do you even care about the plot? Italian horror in the 60s, I mean, it wasn't known for airtight storytelling, right? It was known for the atmosphere. We mean like heavy organ music and just more shadows than an early Cure music video. The movie creeps along at its own pace, and that's the charm of the thing. It's the kind of film you catch on a late night TV. Crypt of the Vampire, it isn't about jump scares. It's about sinking into Gothic dread so thick, it'll cling to your clothes. Mexico brought its own flavor to the vampire cinema with The Bloody Vampire, and it's as wild and atmospheric as the title suggests. This was the start of the whole Mexican vampire cycle, and it's filled with like fog-choked graveyards, some creepy carriages, and aristocrats who look like they moonlighted as like mariachi villains. The plot's a patchwork of curses, rituals, and some old-world superstitions, but it's the execution that makes this one like cult gold. Every scene is just so drenched in Gothic imagery. Everywhere you look, there's crosses and coffins, and shadows just deep enough to lose your trick-or-treat bag in. The editing sometimes feels like it was done on a Ouija board, but that just adds to the surreal charm. It's not the most polished vampire flick per se, but it has a pulpy energy that feels just uniquely Mexican. If Hammer gave you British repression with fangs, well, this gives you Latin fire. Messy, moody, and just unforgettable.
Open your trunk, Genoveva. I order you.
Before our friends Mulder and Scully, and waiting for the lovely Buffy, there was Carl Kochak. He's the cranky, trench-coated reporter who just kept stumbling into supernatural murder sprees. The Night Stalker was a made-for-TV movie that somehow out-creeped most theatrical horrors. This was set in Vegas, and Kolchak investigates a string of killings that discovers the culprit. It isn't mobsters, it's actually a vampire. What makes this cult gold? It's the tone. It's shot like a hard-boiled detective story, only with bloodsuckers. Darren McGavin plays Kolchak as a sarcastic, weary everyman, the kind of guy who'd complain about monsters while still chasing them down. And the vampire? He's no romantic type. He's a silent, brutal killer who could pass for Nosferatu on a weekend bender. It was such a hit, it spawned a sequel and a series, cementing Kolchak as a proto-X-Files legend. This isn't just spooky, it's foundational cult TV horror. So this one is like half parody, half gothic fairy tale, and just all strange. The Fearless Vampire Killers throws Roman Polanski into a snowbound Transylvania with Jack McGowan as his mentor. The duo set out to slay vampires, but they really just mostly trip over themselves and deliver slapstick against some of the most gorgeous Hammer-style sets of the whole era. But then there's the lovely Sharon Tate.
Don't know, I'm just not used to being locked up the whole time.
Luminous as the innkeeper's daughter, and who catches the vampire's eye, and Polanski's too, since, they met on this film. Tonally though, this thing wobbles between like genuine gothic horror and just a cartoonish parody, which is part of why it became cult material. Because one minute you've got like a ball sequence that rivals anything Hammer could cook up, and then the next you've got this comedy gags.
First rate this bed, huh?
I mean, it really isn't scary, but it is a curiosity, with its lush production, awkward laughs, and just a reminder that vampires work even when everyone else involved, they're just winging it.
By sticking it in.
Sticking it in?
Yes.
Where?
In the heart. According to the works of Alibori and my own personal researches, by the way, it is the only way. Like this in one go. Whack!
The heart?
Yes.
Works so well.
I am Caleb Croft and Charles Croydon. You shall have your wish, Anita.
When do we start?
Tomorrow night, at my home.
Now we're into the grimy side of the coffin. Grave of the Vampire, it's just sleazy, it's raw, and absolutely unforgettable. The movie starts with a vampire assaulting a woman in a graveyard who later gives birth to a half-human, half-vampire child. I mean, already this isn't Universal's Dracula. This is exploitation cinema at its rawest. This child grows up determined to hunt down his undead father, leading to one of the most unforgettable yet just fascinating father-son showdowns in horror history. It's rough around the edges, I get that, right? And the acting ranges from like high school play to midnight cable. And the production values are they're practically non-existent. But really, that only adds to its cult flavor. This is the kind of movie horror nerds trade on battered VHS. It's a badge of honor in the you've really seen too much category. Is it disturbing? Yeah, but it's a true cult relic.
Stay here.
So, I'm pretty sure you've heard that Dracula has brides, right? But did you know he also had a dog? Well, enter Zoltan, The Hound of Dracula. And this is a film that sounds like a parody, but plays it completely straight. So the story follows Zoltan, which is a vampire canine that's unleashed to terrorize modern-day suburbia, complete with his own vampire master just skulking around in the background. This film milks the absurdity of a vampire dog for like every penny. Try and picture this. A station wagon chased down by a snarling Doberman with fangs, and you might be halfway there. The pacing, it does drag, and the dialogue is totally laughable.
Oh? Yeah, I'm gonna sue all those people who've been making Dracula pictures without my permission.
A very funny joke, Mr. Drake. But that is exactly the point. You are the only direct descendant.
But that central image is so ridiculous, it just becomes amazing. The movie lived on VHS shelves, the bottom shelf, with box art so wild, you couldn't not rent it. It's campy and cheap and bizarre. But isn't that the essence of cult horror? In spooky season, even man's best friend might be out for your jugular.
Buster! Oh my God, that was Buster!
God, she's hurt. Are you all right, honey?
Hammer Studios decided to crank up the Gothic heat with the vampire lovers. This film didn't just push the envelope, it set it on fire. Adapted from Carmilla, it leans super heavy into the erotic themes, and it totally shocked the censors of the time, but delighted late-night horror fans, of course. Ingrid Pitt absolutely owns the role of Carmilla, seducing her way through castles and countryside alike. The film combines Hammer trademark Gothic atmosphere, like blood-red visuals, ornate castles, and candlelight shadows, with just this unapologetic sensuality that was way ahead of its time. It was scandalized some, but solidified Hammer's reputation for daring horror. Cult fans love it, not only for Pitt's magnetic performance, but for how bold it was mixing Gothic horror with overt sexuality. I mean, this thing is sultry and spooky and just absolutely essential Hammer horror for any vampire marathon.
My darling.
Camila, I'm dying.
Yes.
Will I live until Father comes home?
All right, we're going to throw a curveball at you with a vampire western. Curse of the Undead proves that Hollywood was mashing genres up long before Tarantino. This story follows a small town plagued by mysterious deaths, only to reveal that their troubles stem from a brooding gunfighter who also happens to be undead. It's part cowboy movie, part gothic chiller, with saloon showdowns sitting side by side with vampire lore. And the vampire isn't a suave aristocrat. He's just a tortured gunslinger caught between two worlds.
Now!
The novelty alone makes this one stand out, but it's also surprisingly moody, balancing traditional Western tropes with eerie horror atmosphere. It may not be the first vampire movie you're going to reach for in October, but it deserved credit for being one of the earliest attempts to cross-pollinate genres. Cult fans treasure as a dusty, underrated hybrid, so think Dracula with spurs, and you probably got the picture.
Could open that.
How else can I prove to you what I've been saying? Look.
Is that your proof? A silver dagger in an empty coffin.
Excuse me, where's my doggie? Did you hear me?
Toho Studios didn't just give us a cuddly kaiju to play with. They also dipped their fangs into vampire lore with the Bloodthirsty trilogy. In Lake of Dracula, it's the crown jewel. The Japanese take on Gothic horror blends eerie atmospheres with a fresh cultural perspective. Instead of European castles, we get lakeside estates and shrouded Japanese landscapes, giving the film a just hauntingly unique setting. The vampire here is less suave seducer and more silent predator.
I don't want you to be afraid of me, young lady. I've been an admirer of yours for a long time. Really. And of your painting, too.
A shadowy figure whose glowing eyes burn into your memory. It's got the kind of dreamlike pacing and visuals that make it stick in your head long after the film ends. For years, this was almost impossible to find outside of Japan, which only added to its cult status. Now that it's more accessible, fans can finally appreciate how Toho took a Western myth and filtered it through their own Gothic sensibilities. It's eerie, it's elegant, and it's a necessity. I need you to do me a favor and try and forget Lugosi's stare, because this Dracula, he's just pure 70s swagger. John Bedham's Dracula gave the Count a romantic makeover, with Frank Langella playing him as both a terrified predator and a matinee idol heartthrob. Gothic horror meets disco-era sex appeal, and somehow, I feel like it works. The production was lavish, just filled with sweeping sets, dramatic lights and lush costumes. The film balances Gothic horror with romance, leaning heavily on atmosphere and style. Although it didn't redefine the vampire myth, it did carve its place as one of the most distinctive takes on it. Fans of traditional Dracula might balk at the romanticism, but cult audiences embraced it for its unique fusion of Gothic terror and seductive drama. This Dracula, it doesn't just bite. It broods, he smolders, and he makes the undead look just downright fashionable.
My supreme triumph. Van Helsing, I choose the spawn of your blood to be my consort.
Hammer tried to drag Dracula into the 1970s with the Satanic Rites of Dracula, and the result is like part spy thriller, part occult horror, and part, what the F were they even thinking? Christopher Lee returns as the Count, squaring off once again against Peter Cushing's Van Helsing, but this time amidst secret agents, cultists, and modern-day conspiracies. It's not Hammer at their finest. The blend of James Bond-style espionage with Gothic horror, it's so clunky, and maybe a little fascinating. The contrast between Dracula's ancient evil and the polyester decade makes it campy, bizarre delight for most. Cult fans treasure it for just the sheer oddity of it. Where else can you see Dracula navigating a world of penthouses and cult rituals? It's a flawed but fascinating send-off for Hammer's Dracula cycle, memorable precisely because of how strange it was.
Welcome to my house, Mr. Harker. Come freely, go safely.
Count Dracula?
I am Count Dracula. Will you come in?
The BBC's Count Dracula, it might not get the same love as a Universal or Hammer, but it deserves to sit near the top of this coffin pile. Louis Jordan delivers a Dracula just unlike most, subtle and charming and just quietly terrifying. He's less cape-swirling villain and more coiled predator waiting to strike. You know what sets this version apart? It's the fidelity to Bram Stoker's novel. It sticks closer to the source than most adaptations, just leaning on atmosphere, dread, and a strong performance rather than spectacle. The production may be modest, but the effects, it's so chilling. Proof that sometimes less is always more. Occult fans adore it as a hidden gem of the Dracula cinema. It's elegant and haunting, and endlessly rewatchable during spooky season. If you want Dracula at its most faithful and still frightening, this is the one to dig up.
Sunset.
Get out. Get out. I revoke my invitation. Sleep like the dead, teacher. Oh.
Stephen King adaptations, I mean, they're a mixed bag. But Salem's Lot, this movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Especially that scene with that freaking vampire outside the window scratching. So you know what? I was like 5 years old when I saw this movie. And they put this on television. This wasn't in the theaters. And it was like every week. Who does this? But anyways, I digress. This was directed by Tobe Hooper. And this TV miniseries, it stretched the vampire myth into small town America. It terrified my whole entire generation. The pacing is slow and deliberate, letting you settle into the town before the horror takes over. And when it does, it just delivers one of the most iconic vampire visuals ever. I mean, that kid scratching at the window, hovering in the night. It's the stuff of Halloween legend. The design of Barlow, the head vampire, it's just another highlight. Bald, blue-skinned, rat-toothed, and utterly terrifying. No romance, no velvet capes, just raw terror. Despite being made for TV, it rivals theatrical horror in scares and atmosphere, proving that vampires, they can thrive outside the Gothic castle. It's so unsettling, iconic, and just essential spooky season viewing. And the reason this one's number one, it's because it just scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
You can do nothing against the master. Stop, holy man! We've cut the boy's throat. Back, holy man, back, shaman! Back, priest!
Alright folks, this is just the start of spooky season. All month long we're going to be unearthing creeps like this. And if you want to influence the video that I make, you need to let me know in the comments what you want to see, what you want to talk about. And if you love this video and you want more of this, it would help me out a ton if you hit that like button and even that new hype button. I'm not sure what it does, but apparently it helps. So go sharpen the stakes. And if you see some kid floating outside your house, don't open the damn window. And keep it weird, folks.
No!
Why? What are you doing in the dark?